Hi Chitra, my name is Jyotsna. I'm media representative of Frontlist Media. So today we have Chitra Padmana with us. Chitra Padmana is an author, scientist, and a trained classical dancer who has won 40 awards, I guess, at the state and national level for her literacy activities. She won second place for her new book, Linger When You Are Gone, the Amazon Pen to Publish contest this year. She has won the second place. So congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
We are so thrilled to have you on board today. So our audience would like to know, who is Chitra Padmana in real, as a person?
So, as you've already introduced me, I'm a scientist. I have done my PhD and postdoc in chemistry. So I took to writing just a year ago, and since childhood I've been writing stories and poems. But and everybody, they thought that I would grow up to be a writer. But then life took me away from the world of writing and into science, and the daily monotony and the routine and exams and work, they sort of distracted me so much that I never could have time for writing. But last year during the lockdown, I finally revoked my passion for writing, and then again started writing stories and poems, and finally developed the concept of this novel. And in 6 months I was done with the novel, and then I published it. So real life, I am like any other girl. So I love to cook, I love to read. I'm a voracious reader. You can see my bookshelf here. So like just any other girl, but yeah, I do love to read.
Okay, wow, that is amazing. Okay, like you are so busy with your scientific stuff and writing. It's very good thing. Okay, so my first question to you. Linger When You Are Gone book, a romantic psychological thriller story revolving around Miris, Roy, and Sam. So, how did you get the idea of this book? What is the story?
Okay, so it's a romantic psychological thriller, but the way I got the concept of the story was very mundane. I was just taking an evening stroll, and the gardener was working, and I could smell the jasmine in the air, the fresh cut grass, and what was cooking from my neighbor's house, and I could also smell my mother's perfume. And I thought, okay, she has just been here, and she's walked away or something. So with all these smells surrounding me, suddenly I got the sense of a character who had an enhanced sense of smell. Okay. So I kept thinking about this character, this girl. How would her life be if she has a really sharp sense of smell, to the extent that she can smell secrets and what other people can't. So I began researching on the topic, and I discovered that there is actually a condition like this called hyperosmia.
Okay.
So that is how my central character, who was Miris, she was born, and she caught hold of my mind, and then all the other characters came in. Roy, who's like a typical possessive lover, and there's a college romance and how it develops into something more toxic, and how the story progresses. But I did not want to make it very usual. It's
Cliche
romantic.
romance.
Yeah, it's a very cliche romance. The girl meets boy, and then they leave, and then he stalks. So this entire concept of smell, and how she awakens to it, and how she runs away from her life, but then it all happens again. She starts smelling her ex-lover again when her best friend is murdered. So it's a murder mystery. So there are lots of romance. There are side characters who play really important roles. So at every point, the reader is sort of wondering, who is real, who is to be suspected. So that is all. So that is the entire concept of Linger When You're Gone, and this is how it all developed.
I'm sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am.
No, that is okay. Even I lost connection in the middle. There's like power cut and everything.
Can you see me, right? Okay.
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah. Just check the recording though. I mean, I don't know whether the last answer it got cut off.
Yeah. Okay. So we will going to start interview from start. Okay, I will ask the question. Okay. So my first question to you, Chitra Padmana ma'am. So Linger, When You're Gone book, a romantic psychological thriller story revolving around Miris, Roy, and Sam. So how did you get the idea of this book, and what is the story of your book?
So Linger When You're Gone, it's a romantic psychological thriller. It revolves around three main characters, and there are so many other characters as well. So although the story is very special and very exciting, the way it came to me was quite mundane. So I was just taking a stroll in the garden, and suddenly I could smell, the fresh cut grass, the jasmine, and then something cooking from the neighbor's house, and then my mother's perfume. And then this character came to me, and I could see her in my mind, I could feel her in my mind, and I envisioned her as someone who could smell secrets, because she had such an enhanced sense of smell. So I immediately began my research, and I saw that there was actually a condition like this called hyperosmia. And I began researching on the condition, and slowly began developing the character of Miris. So after that, other characters came in. So the first major character after Miris who came in was Roy. He's a typical possessive lover, but he's also something more than that. So a lot of aspects of, since it's a psychological thriller, a lot of aspects of the human persona and how the human brain works, and how past relationships, past trauma can affect the way you interact with others and your own behavioral aspects. So a lot of that has been portrayed. The story itself flows through, it has elements of romance, horror, supernatural. You have edge of seat action, you have thrillers, but it also depicts relationships in a very beautiful way. So all the relationships have been given due importance. So there's a murder mystery at its core, where Miris has run away from her life, but then she comes back because she comes to know that her best friend has been murdered, and then she begins to smell the scent of her ex-lover, who she thought was gone from her life forever. So that is, and she begins to have hallucinations. So are those real, or are there even sinister forces at work? So that is the entire story of Linger When You're Gone.
Okay. It's amazing. Okay. So my second question to you. Your book is self-published via Amazon KDP, right?
Yes.
So what do you think about self-publishing brings a dynamic change in the publishing industry? As you know, we have only 4 to 5 publishers like Penguin, Random House, Scholastic. They are torch barriers. Okay. So what do you think? The emergence of self-publishing industry in publishing industry.
Well, self-publishing has been around for quite some time now, and a lot of authors are, choosing to self-publish, particularly because of the wide, range of control elements that Amazon KDP provides. Particularly Amazon KDP. There are so many other channels that you can, choose to self-publish, but Amazon KDP is, currently ruling, because it's so easy. An author with just fresh author written her novel. I was even confused, how should I publish my novel? But Amazon KDP made it so easy. Okay. So just upload your manuscript, and you have entire control. You are your own boss. Okay. Yeah. So in self-publishing, what happens that at every step of the journey, that is, and even when self-publishing, you say it's more of indie publishing. Indie publishing is like, you have done everything on your own, without help of an agency or a publishing house. So there are so many vanity publishers around. Vanity publishing is the sense that they will take money for everything, that all the services and for publishing and distribution. But when you say self-publishing, it's more of indie publishing that has to go on. Okay, where you are doing everything on your own. You are hiring freelancers to design your cover. You are having editorial, control. So when you are doing with traditional publishers, a lot of things, what happens is what they think is correct for your story, what they think will be marketable, according to that, a lot of your story is edited, it's cut off. Okay, so here many authors do not want to part with the originality of the content, or with the amount of research that they have done. They just do not want to part with it, or they do not want to modify it according to someone else's specifications. So there's a large amount of editorial control that you have. Also with your cover design, everything, it's set by you. It's your vision and your control. And also there's a larger share of royalties that you're getting from Amazon. So from Amazon KDP, you can choose from royalties varying from 35% to 70%. And in traditional publishing, it'll be, maximum 15% if you are, very big author. Okay. And, fresh authors starting out, they just get 5 to 10% of the royalties. So it's very lucrative. But when we come to think of the, cons, because everything has pros and cons, if you want to become really famous and you want that tag of being a published author, but then Penguin or HarperCollins, and then you have to keep pitching to agents, to publishing houses year after year, rejection after rejection. You cannot just give up. If you want to be published by traditional houses, you have to keep pitching to them. And the advantage of traditional publishing houses is that once you have made some headway with that, the offers will start pouring in from other houses as well. You can get in touch with other literary agents. They will look on you favorably. Your other books will also start doing well. And the other thing, there's a major roadblock that self-publishing faces, and that is distribution. Distribution across bookstores. So as long as ebooks are concerned, Kindle ebooks, or just ebooks, PDFs, distribution, that is not, there's not much of a difference between traditional publishing or self-publishing. Because when you see the rankings, the self-published books and the traditional publishing books, they are just ranked side by side. Okay, even self-published books are doing better in the ebook industry. So easily accessible. Okay, so there's not much of a difference. But when it comes to print books, paperbacks, hardcovers, there the traditional publishing houses have an advantage because of their wide distribution network. So that is something that the self-publishing industry has to catch up with. So all indie authors who are printing copies themselves, or getting someone else to print for them, they need to look at distributions. So a lot of self-published authors have achieved success with that. Amish Tripathi. So when he came up with his Episodes of Miluha, so he was self-published. He had got so many rejection letters and decided, no, I'll self-publish. And then he went up to these bookstores and he said, please keep my book. And then copies started selling out. And that is how his journey started, because he was self-published. So there's still hope for the self-publishing industry. It's fast catching up with, the ebook thing is going great guns, but the print distribution needs to be better.
Okay. So have you tried reaching out a big publishing industry for your book?
For Linger, When You're Gone, I'm still looking for a publisher. Because of the contest, we could not print paperbacks, and it was just the contest for the ebook, for the pen to publish contest. So now that it has ended, I will, I am in the process of drafting a synopsis and everything, and I will be pitching to several publishers. So let's see, what happens.
So it's just an ebook now, your book right now. Chitra, am I audible?
Yeah, it's just an ebook format. Yes.
Okay. So my third question. So every author has a specific writing approach, right? So what kind of approach do you follow while writing?
Yes.
Because of the, your target audience, your writing interest. So what is your approach?
Well, when I have a concept or a character which is there in my mind, I start writing about it, just a few lines. Okay, what is the concept about? So when Linger, When You're Gone came up, I just wrote a few lines. So this is about a girl with an enhanced sense of smell, and she can smell her lover even when she thinks he's gone forever. Okay, so what happens in her life? and then these characters are there. So some characters, if they're there at the beginning of the beginning of whatever I've visualized, then I write them down. Otherwise they can just come in whenever the mind, the concept is brewing. So I write a few lines about the concept, because I shouldn't let go of the concept when it comes. So that is very crucial. So whenever the concept is coming, just write a few lines about it, draft some scene, something, whatever is coming to your mind, of maybe a page, and then you let it rest. You just let the concept brew in your mind, see what scenes are coming, what setting do you want to base it on. And my thing is that I have a few friends that I can bounce ideas off. So I call them up and I discuss that, okay, I have this concept, do you think it's feasible, do you think it's so, based on their inputs also, a little bit of my thinking is also modulated that way. So after that, I start writing, and the writing is in bits and pieces. It's not very organized in the sense that it's not linear. So not as in one scene after one scene after one scene. So if there are scenes that are demanding my attention, and no, write them now. So I do it that way, and then I have plenty of these post-it notes where I keep scribbling ideas or keep scribbling some character traits. I keep them on my wall, keep them around my writing space. And after that, I start to sort of organize it a little bit. And that's how I sort of complete the first draft this way. It's a very messy, very disorganized process, but from start to finish, it is there. And another thing, I like to know the ending of my stories. So whenever the concept comes, so the concept is there, and the ending is there, but what happens in the middle is not my responsibility. It's sort of the characters sort of drive the story. So a lot of times I have felt, I told my mom, my characters are not listening to me, they want to have coffee. So they're just lazing around. I want them to do something, but they want to have coffee. So a lot of times it has happened like that. So the first draft is just a mishmash of scenes written non-linearly, and character traits, a lot of character research, setting research. So after that, after when I start to sort of organize it, I go through my research again. So whatever articles or settings or whatever character traits research I have done, I go back to it, add more notes, and then go back to my narrative to see whether I have been consistent in that or not. So whether there are any plot holes or any settings that should be changed, because it's just not feasible. So when you're writing it, you probably don't realize it, but when you go back to it and see, probably it's not feasible. So you add more scenes, flesh out the drama a bit. If you think it needs to be more extensive, then you add some scenes, or you cut out scenes because you think, okay, this is a good scene, I like it. But then you probably don't need it because it's too wordy, makes it too verbal or stops the flow. So you do that. And then you self-edit. I don't have too many mistakes when it comes to grammar or spelling in my first draft. A lot of people have that. They just type it like that and just word vomit. But I am sort of a little OCD about the grammar and spelling. So I sort of edit as I go along. So there are not too many grammar or spelling mistakes. So my first draft or the second draft is fairly clean. Okay. So I just have to organize it a bit. And when I'm satisfied, I go through a round of self-edit, just a casual self-edit, and just to see whether it's making sense or not. And then I send it to my editor.
Okay.
So when he gives inputs, and then I change or something. So it's more of that process for me.
So how much time did you take, complete your novel?
I took 6-7 months, to finish off everything. Like from concept to final edit, it took me 6-7 months. It would have taken me less, but there were certain family commitments because I write quite fast. But I had some family commitments. But for a normal novel, if I decide to write, I think I can finish it within 4 months, everything.
Yeah, it's amazing. So my fourth question: what inspired you to become a writer? And who is your favorite author? And how do they affect your writing style? So I asked 2 questions.
Yeah, 3 questions.
Yeah, 3 questions. Yeah.
Okay. So what inspired me to become a writer? Actually, see, I have been writing for a very long time, as I mentioned earlier also. Like since my childhood days, I was writing stories and poems. So I have this habit of journaling. So it's not very often or not very regular, but when something, comes into my mind, it's not letting go of me, then I write it down immediately. So I had this journal, and when I was 9 to 10 years old, my grandmother discovered that journal from under my bed, and she
Okay.
fished it out and she went through it, and you're like, it's nice, what she's written is nice and it should be a book. So my self-publishing journey actually started at the age of
9. Okay.
because my grandmother published it as a volume of 2 books. So, and then she gave it to my teachers and my relatives, and I was so embarrassed because I'm just beginning and just
Yeah.
small
You're
kid.
just a kid, yeah. So
They're
you
just
thought, yeah,
terrifying.
who will gonna read it or
We're
something?
going to read it, and it's my own thoughts, my own perspectives. I didn't want the world to read it, but when the feedback came, and the teachers were so impressed that okay, a little kid has written stories of something like of a higher grade, and my relatives were appreciative. So I felt that okay, so that was the first realization of okay, I can write, and the feedback that I got was like people could relate to those stories,
Okay.
to those poems, so they had that element that people could connect to. So that was exhilarating. So that was when I realized I can
You
write
can
and I
write,
want
yeah.
to be a writer. But of course I lost touch with professional writing and everything, although I did write short stories. I submitted to competitions, won so many awards, but properly doing it for myself, that didn't happen because of professional commitments. So
So
yeah,
you,
but yeah.
you chose to be become a scientist,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
So life took me away from the world of writing and into science, but then of course it has a way of, life comes full circle. So it has a way of returning you to where you actually wanted to be.
Yeah.
So last year during the lockdown, I decided no, enough's enough. I have to start writing again. So that is how I started writing my novel and many other short stories and poems that I wrote during that period. So, okay, about my favorite author. So, I read so widely that it's very hard to pick one. So, I'll pick three: Stephen King, Haruki
Okay.
Murakami, and Khaled Hosseini.
Wow. Actually, I've read Khaled Hosseini and Haruki. They are amazing.
Amazing. And, see, I write in the thriller genre. I write in several genres actually, but thriller genres are my favorite. So people might question that how Murakami and Khaled Hosseini can inspire you to write thrillers. But see, writing, irrespective of whatever genre it is, it has to have soul. So
Yeah.
unless your writing has soul, the readers won't connect to it. The characters should be lively, they should be relatable. There should the reader should be invested in the story and to
And
what happens to
resonate
the
with it.
character, to
Yeah.
what happens to your character. There should be enough space for the readers to think about what is happening. So what happens in very fast paced thrillers is that everything is happening bam bam and everything. So murders are happening, this is happening, but I feel the reader should be invested in the character, so that when the character, something happens to that character, that reader should feel bad or should feel happy.
Okay.
Okay, so that kind of thing I have found in these books, that these books are very lively. Those characters you would want to,
Heart touching. Yeah.
yeah, that those words should tug at your heartstrings. So your writing should be like that. So irrespective of whatever genre you write in, that writing should have soul. It should directly speak to the reader. So that
Okay.
is what I get from the writings of these authors.
That's amazing. So you were destined to be a writer. So your destiny. Okay.
Yeah.
So my next question. There is a famous saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. So do you think the word has enough power to influence the lives of people?
Of course, words, I believe they're magical. Okay. So they're very powerful, and they impact how people perceive themselves and the world around them. So there's so many things that words can do. They can stimulate you, they can distract you, they can, paint images in your brain. Okay. So they can take you away from reality or give you a reality check. So there are so many things that words can do. And of course, as writers, I feel as masters of words, our words have that power to change lives.
Okay.
So as writers, they say that we write to the market, or we write to entertain, to engage. But our writings, as writers, I believe we also have that responsibility that our writing should also create some awareness. Okay, some awareness, and modulate the thinking of people towards the correct direction.
Okay.
That is not to say that we are going to dilute our range of writing. So if you are depicting a scene that is sensitive or has violence or has some brutality, depict it with all honesty. Okay. But the outcome of it, or how you're saying that the character should have the consequences of it, that is where you should display enough maturity to handle that topic. So if there are themes, sensitive themes like rape or religious persecution, your own views as a writer, you should also be guarded about what message you're giving in your book. Okay, so if you are justifying rape, or you are justifying the persecution of a particular community, then your writing is inciting violence or is giving out the wrong message, which can harm society. So you have that responsibility.
Yeah.
So in the name of creative freedom, we should not be giving out toxic messages in our book.
Okay.
Even if it is about mental health, even if it is about a person who is very depressed or who is mad, or some does things irrationally, you should not be justifying crime. Okay, so that is what when we say words have power, you have power to change the society, so change it for the better.
Okay. So which book have moved you the most?
There are so many books that have moved me, but I would say recently I read something from Elif Shafak, 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world. So it was a very moving account. I mean, it was, it starts off like a thriller, but later when you delve into it, there's such a rich world that's painted by this author. In fact, I have this book, I can show you. Okay, so this is the book.
Okay, Elif Shafak. Okay.
So it is prize winning. It it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize even.
Okay.
So this book has really moved me. The descriptions are really rich. And if you see Elif Shafak's other books, popular books like 40 Rules of Love. So her writing is very, sensuous and detailed and rich. So you'll actually feel like these characters.
Okay. Evocative character.
Yeah.
So my last question. As we all know that you have started an initiative.
Yes.
The Hues and Quills for uniting the writers and the society. So who influenced you to start this initiative, and what was the idea? When did it happen?
Okay, so last October, I felt that, as writers, as creative minded people, we should do something for the benefit of the society. So I just did not want to unite writers, but also with artists. So I wanted to combine artwork and writing, on similar themes for the benefit of society. So my concept was that I would invite contributions from artists. So that is why I organized a nationwide contest, from which I got an overwhelming response. So a variety of themes were given, from which artworks were being collected. So that is being currently combined with writings to make ebooks and paperbacks. So my vision is to donate all the sale proceeds from these books to charitable institutions working for mental health, women's issues, and for the upliftment of marginalized sections. So these books are going to be thematic. So the first book in the series is going to be on mental health. So that is going to go for the Minds India Foundation. So we have already spoken to them. So that is in the works. So that is my entire vision for Hues and Quills. And I discussed this concept with my mother actually. So she's also equally invested in this project because she also wants to make this difference. She has been the president of an NGO called the Family Planning Association of India.
Okay.
So it deals with women's issues, abortions, safe abortions, educating slum women on reproductive health. So adolescent education. So it's a lot of issues that those kind of NGOs deal with. So that is why she was also invested. I know this is a good initiative, and if you're having books and you're having sales from them, then you should be donating it to charitable institutions. So that is my entire vision for Hues and Quills.
Okay, and I hope that your initiative will flourish in future. My best wishes to you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, Chitra Padmana, for having a great interview with you.